Hi, today I'm going to address the design principles behind my MMP project. And here, the reason why you're looking at my website is everything from my MMP project will be housed on this Weebly. Please note the Weebly will then be transferred into what's known as a learning management system, known as Blackboard. Luckily, I'm able to have access to that very expensive learning management system. That's amazing. And work with pre-service teachers, and then I'm going to take the concepts here and actually build it somewhere else for my fellow colleagues, as several need one-on-one assistance, but it's too time exhausting. So I'm going to use Twitter as a means to help those, both of my colleagues as well as pre-service teachers, to really understand what Twitter is, how to use Twitter, and how to get professional development. Okay, before I begin, I would like to give credit to Jim Krause. Normally you put the citations in, but I've never done this on a screencast. This will be my first. But I will include Jim Krause based on analysis from the Design Basic Index and learning from reading this text on ways in which to create some really cool design products based on the principles he suggests, as well as the practice activities. So thanks again to Jim Krause, in the designer of the book called Design Basic Index. All right, let's begin. So currently within this website, what I use first and foremost is Weebly, which is a free website, and you can actually do a paid version. For this part and project, I decided to use the free version only and think a little bit outside the box as far as design basics and how I can use the free tools and get the paid version as well. So what I did was I created a hub where this course is really put on the website, where I have my home page, which is this page, my blog, and then I have a different blog view, and then my MMP, Twitter, and then contact. I really want to first address with you kind of the main points of design, which has to do with the layout, the alignment, the topography, the colorization, the theme, and basically the overall feeling of the website. Many times, I forget where I read this, but in looking at a website or various products, within 2 seconds or less, some will either stay on your website or not stay on your website. So it's really vital to create a rich and engaging first home page. And with that being said, I'm not really sure if I love this picture or not, so it's really a placeholder for the rest. And I want to kind of walk you through the navigational bars and why things are the way they are, and some changes that I wish could be made, but they can't because it's a template-driven website. So first, on the top part, we have the navigational view, which is the home, blog, blog different view, MMP, Twitter, and contact. Please note this is not part of the website. I'm in the designer phase to show you how I was able to manipulate things. So on the version that you will be viewing is not, you will not see these top bars, but this is how you actually build the website. So here in the navigational bar, one can see that they're all in caps, which is not preferred as it suggests screaming. But because this is a template-driven website and a certain design was selected, these cannot be changed. Now please note, in all Weebly websites, they are not lowercase, they are all in caps. So it gets a little confusing, but let me show you how this works. You click on Pages, and here are the various tabs I have. I have Home, which is lowercase, Blog, Blog Different View, MMP, Twitter, I have Mini Lessons, and then I have Contact. So even though you see this all lowercase, on my home page it's all uppercase. And that's just the default setting within the actual tool. Okay. Another thing that's really cool is you can customize each page by just clicking on it. Unlike Google Sites and Wix, Wiki Spaces, which I think are a little bit harder to develop, you can choose whichever one. And I will tell you a little bit of sidebar for anyone who's using Weebly. You can actually take the paid version, which has on your home page or any page thereafter, you can have the slideshow present, but that's a paid feature. But on the non-paid feature, you click on the no header and then you insert the slideshow, and it's now the paid version, which is really kind of cool. I didn't learn that from anyone other than me and playing around and trying to think, how can I make this possible? The next part that I would like to address is so simple in adding a page. If I want to add a page, I can add a blog page, I can add a store page, I can add an external link, or a standard page. And for me, I normally just pick a standard page. The cool thing about this free website is you can actually include a store page, which is for e-commerce if I was selling t-shirts or cups or maybe different types of promotional pieces. So here I'm going to add a standard page, and I'm going to write classmate page, classmates, and then I can pick whichever one I want. I click on that, and then on the bottom right hand side I click on Save and Edit. And now when I click on Classmates, I'll click on Edit Image. I can actually change the image. We'll just pick, say, volleyball, click Select. I'll change the image again. And here, this is really important where it says Save. You want to save to only this page. If not, I'll change everything. And voila. This is actually my website design for you guys, just to show you a little bit of a demo. You do not have to have an image. You can have a website with all text. But I strongly discourage you, both based on what Jim Krause has said as well as learners of today. Because of multimedia, they need interactive, highly strong visuals design. So I think images will capture really what you're trying to address. A strong visual has much more meaning to me than text could ever be. Okay, the next thing I want to address is, I know it's not the MMP, but is really the design principles of the entire website, because here my MMP and the website kind of go hand in hand. But is the strong visual, once again, that kind of by looking at these images, I can tell they're relating to social media, such as Pinterest and Blogger and Twitter and Facebook and Yahoo. All of those are social media sites. So here I know you're going to be talking about something relating to social media, or perhaps in itself it's social media, such as a blog. Now, one of the things I wanted to show you is there's two different blogs. One is my first blog post, and then a blog, a different view. And what I did was, on the left-hand side, based on Jim Krause's recommendations, is that you don't want to make the length of the line too long. You want to make it shorter so people think, oh, I can read this whole article. Where if the lines are too long, they're going to say, oh, this is too long to read. And then on the right-hand side, because I love images and visuals, I created some type of visual or used a Google image and created something that mimics what the text said. Then on the other side here, what I did was I created the blog, and people that I mentioned to possibly follow that are the best in the field, Kathy Schrock and Kyle Pace and Richard Byrne, who's one of my favorites, and sites and organizations such as Edutopias or Fractus. What I did was I actually created an image to mimic that, which is really kind of interesting. And then last but not least, talks about Twitter and the role of Twitter. So I just created a Twitter kind of visual that I used from a Google image. And then last but not least, what I wanted to do is kind of protect my viewers, and in this case it was you as well as the professor, and any feedback you didn't want to share publicly. And what I did was I created a discussion forum where this would be sent directly into my email, and it would not be posted live. And after a week's thinking about it and viewing at other blogs, I realized that I'm not sure if my classmates would get credit for the actual interaction of my blog. So I decided to do a blog, a different view, and in doing that, what I did was I made the comments directly be embedded within the presentation. So here there's 3 comments. All you have to do is click on the comments, and then the comments show up. Now, because it was a blog and I like interaction, I did at times ask my fellow viewers any questions, or perhaps could give me insight on different concepts. Several times with visual design, you might just think that all there is an image on a particular page. So here it's vital to really navigate the learner and where their brain is going from left to right. So here I see these interactive or moving images after so many seconds, which are really engaging in my opinion, to not knowing if there's anything below. So it's really important to kind of navigate for the learner instructionally where to go. So it says the title, which is Multimedia Project, and then it tells you where to scroll down to learn more about it. Okay, and this is vital for design principles, to let the learner know exactly where to go and when to go so they're not confused and or miss anything. Okay, for this website I want to address the typography as well as the font color and font size. As we know, blue is suggested by Jim Krause not to be used often because it's very difficult to read. Now I broke this rule for a couple reasons. One, I personally like blue. And 2, in my undergraduate development of different types of design principles, we were taught that blue is a #1 learning color for comprehension. So if you write on a whiteboard, you should use blue and not any other color. And then it goes blue, black, green, and then of course, last but not least, red. So here, I like blue. I'm going to break that design principle because I think it matches the color scheme and really draws the eye. And I'm hoping that you have the highest amount of learning. So when I do this and I want to change the typography, all I do is basically I highlight the whole thing and I have options. I can either bold it, I can either italicize it, I can underline it. Now here I can make it bigger or I can make it smaller, Now please note you can't adjust, it's a default, so they'll only give you so many options. Then I can change the color if I want to change the color. I'm able to add a link. And one of the rules that Jim Krause talks about, which is so funny, that everyone centers every single thing, every paragraph, etc. For me, I personally like to center depending on where the picture is. If the picture's centered, I like to have the title centered. If the picture's left aligned, I like it on left aligned. So it really depends on what's going on, as well as the angle of the shot. If the angle of the shot's looking towards the right, the text will go to the right. If it's looking toward the left, the text will go to the left. So it really depends. And of course, the last two buttons have to do with undo or move forward. So here in my MMP project, this will be my explanation page that really explains what the project is all about. Now, I will address the learners differently than I would for my own learners. So for this project, this component would actually be erased in that they don't really need to know what a multimedia project is and what it'll entail. But rather they'll learn what Twitter is and the effects of Twitter and how to use Twitter, etc. Which brings me to my next page. Here, when I click on Twitter, and it's really important that I tell the learner that they must click on Twitter. Even though there's a drop down, there's actually will be information on Twitter. So here on this page we'll tell you what Twitter is, the functionality of Twitter, etc., and how to kind of navigate through the little mini lessons. And then when I click on these little mini lessons, which haven't been posted yet, but when I click on these little lessons, it'll tell me how to set up an account and what to do. Now personally, I decided to have the drop down bar for easy navigation for the learner. Several times when learners have to click outside the website, inside the website, it's too confusing. So basically the navigation and the flow is really directing the eye in a way that I think is clean and concise versus flowing all over or not really sure where to go. Okay, so this is specifically designed in the linear function so they know that it's about Twitter, and then here are their mini assignments they need to do. The next thing what I did, which I think is really good for design, is that I created a visual that says you can communicate me, or hopefully you're getting from this, you can communicate with me via email, via phone. You can communicate me at, for me, which is Twitter. You can communicate me via text and or really a location. So in this sense it says, are you struggling with the activities and I'm stuck on something? And here it's black in bold to draw your eye, and then to contact me and kind of gives me directions. Then underneath that shows a picture of me, and then what it does is it actually provides a discussion forum. Now I built this within. What I wanted to do is have the opportunity for the viewer to pull or extrapolate the information and say I want to open up an email if they knew how to do that. Now please note my phone number is not the correct number. I did that intentionally because I did not want people to have access with my phone number around the world. My email is correct, and then the direct message on Twitter. I made sure to the learner specifically to provide me with a direct message on Twitter in the sense of I didn't want it to be a tweet and wanted it to be a more private message. Now here with design, which is what I love, instead of going outside the website, which is what this suggests right here, is you can actually support the learner right within here. So here they're going to be able to ask me any questions, etc., etc. So this is really cool where they don't have to leave the website. They're not sure if they did the right thing. They click on it and do it. Now one of the features I like about using Weebly is the form options. And here it allows me to do a confirmation. So several times you think you're talking to the computer that's based on certain keywords and what do they say or what do they don't say. And here when I click on confirmation, I'm able to customize exactly what I want. For instance, I can say thank you. Your information has been submitted and a response will occur within 24 hours, and it says my name. So instead of it being a computer that looks at keywords and says, okay, well here's the problem, or did this help you? They know directly it's going to my email, and I'll be able to respond within the 24-hour time period. I do let them know in 24 hours, normally it'll get back within, the next hour or so, but just in case they know to wait for 24 hours. Okay, another feature I want to talk to you about design basics is even though this is centered as well as the picture, I did not center this. So I did the left alignment, did some spacing in between, and then made sure my name and everything lined up. If everything was centered, it looks a little too choppy, so I wanted to make it nice, simple, and easy. Okay, so here allows the learner to quickly post and or comment based on mini lessons. So here it says, what's the purpose of Twitter? Please note the people that will be using this little module will be those who really are unsure about Twitter, how to use Twitter, how to post on Twitter, and what's the purpose of Twitter. So here the learner is going to interact with those that have posted and kind of give knowledge. And this is also a way for me to determine whether or not they understand the premise of Twitter. So here one can post comments, one can post questions, etc. And the reason I did it in this form is that there's no username or account needed to be associated with it. So that's really important. And the reason I did that is I didn't want any learner to have prerequisite skills needed. For instance, how to log on, how to set up an account, have a Gmail account, etc. So here they click on comments and it's very simple. Okay, this concludes the summation of my current website to be in analysis of looking at Jim Krause's Design Basic Index relating to the placement of lines and visuals. Now, luckily enough, several of these components are already addressed within the template driven of Weebly, as well as creating a really strong, visually interactive website that creates good emphasis on a strong conveyance of using Twitter and theme and welcoming of using the website, as well as the flow and navigation. Many times people have really rich, engaging content, but the way in which it's laid out is so confusing. So here one is able to really look at the top navigational bar and determine what is what and how to navigate from one thing to another thing. My intent and purposes also is to create a small little mini video for the learner to be sure on how to go from one thing to another thing. Well, hopefully you enjoyed my overview of the design of my website and how it impacts my MMP. Thanks for watching.